So our objective today is to apply properties of radicals, and we have 2 bell ringers. Now, unfortunately, I did not find the button for this on the computer, so you're going to have to draw the little line in above it. And we're going to draw it in here. And so now we've done radicals before. What are our factors of 102? 2 goes in there how many times? 51. What are our factors of 51?
151.
151 R and D factors. So 51, what are our factors?
It's prime.
There are factors of 51. I also had a first instinct of thinking it was prime, but it is not 9.
It's 3 times.
3 times 17. What'd you say, hon?
That means we can't use calculators doing work.
Do we have any buddies?
No.
Nothing has a buddy. So if you don't have a buddy, you stay locked up. We multiply them all back together, and we write it as the square root of 102. Over here, we have the square root of 105. What are our factors of 105? 21 and 5. What are our factors of 21?
73.
Do any of those have buddies? Nope. So we keep it as the square root of 105. First part here is the square roots are written using a radical symbol. This is our radical symbol. That goes in your first blank. The second 2 things are your definitions that you're writing down. So the first one, a radical expression or radical, is an expression written with the root symbol, the one we just wrote above. The second is the radicand. That's what's underneath or inside of our radicals. Is simplifying roots. So you see if A times B is all under the radical, we can break it up as radical A times radical B. So the square root of A times square root of B. And you see this in action with 27. So the square root of 27, you have the factors of 27, which is 3 and 9. Okay, so we have the 27. You see this working. The factors of 27 are 3 and 9. Square root both of them. So you see that this can be broken up into the 2 factors. We know the square root of 3 is a prime number. And we know the square root of 9 is perfect square. The square root of 9 is 3. So we bring 3 out. Square root of 3 stays in because it doesn't have a buddy. Same thing happens with 72. We have a perfect square of 36 times 2. 36 becomes 6. Square root of 2 stays attached. So example 1, 24. What is our factors of 24? 3 and 8. Okay. What are our factors of 8? 2 and 4. What are our factors of 4? 2 and 2. We look for what has a buddy. You have to have a buddy to escape. Let me change it to a color you can see. So we have 1 buddy that gets out. 2. If you don't have a buddy, you stay locked up. 2 square root of 6. I did. We've done this lesson. Yep. So this is just a refresher before we go into our next lesson. We have 75. What are 75's buddies?
15.
Yeah, we have 25 and 3. What are our factors of 25? 5 and 5. What has a buddy? 5. 5 gets locked out, or he escapes. 3 stays locked up. Okay. Next one. We have 200. What are our factors of 200? 2 and 100. Factors of 100? 50 and 2. Factors of 50? Okay, 25 and 2. Factors of 25?
No, I can't read that.
Is it because of the paint? Oh. Factors of 200, you told me were 2 and 100. Okay, can you see that better?
Yes.
Okay. 100 we broke down to 2 and 50. 50 you broke it down to?
Why can't we just do 10 and 10?
You could have. 5 and 5. You could have done any of those options. This was just the one that somebody shouted out. That's the one we're following. Okay, so we now circle the ones that have buddies. We have 1 pair of 5s that have a buddy. We have 1 pair of 2s that has a buddy. What doesn't have a buddy is the 2. So 2 times 5, square root of 2. We multiply those together. We get 10 square root of 2. Nice job, Lucas.
So is this all we're doing? Is it like this all through?
This is the first lesson in this. So our next one, 45. How does 45 factor? 9 and 5. How does 9 break down? 3 and 3 have a buddy. 3 comes out. 5 stays locked up. The multiply the radicals and then simplify if possible. So if you have 2 radicals, you can multiply what's underneath the radical together and then simplify it. So you see here we have 2 times 7, which then becomes the square root of 14. The square root of 2 times the square root of 8 becomes the square root of 16. So when we do radicals, we haven't touched on this too much. We generally write the positive answer. But technically, it could be positive or negative. Because if you square negative 4, it goes back to being 16. If you square positive 4, it goes back to being 16. Generally, we write the positive answer, but it could be either. Okay, so square root of 5 times square root of 7, Cam.
Yo, if we have 2 weeks of good days, you should learn something.
Square root of 35, because you multiply them together. Okay, can we simplify that?
Yup.
So what are your
It's gonna come out
factors?
the same way.
It becomes the same factors, right? 7 and 5, neither one have a buddy. It stays square root of 35. Our next one, we have 7 and 11. What's 7 times 11? Square root of 77. Our factors of 77 are 7 and 11. Neither one have a buddy. They stay locked up. Our next one down here, you see you have a 2 outside of the radical. Remember when we multiply numbers outside of radicals, we multiply them together. So the 2 is technically being multiplied by the 1 that's in front of the 5. So we keep it as 2. And then we multiply the two things under the radical. So 3 times 5 is 15. Can we break 15 down? So it becomes 3 and 5. Neither one has buddies, so we leave it as is. And then over here we have 5 times the square root of 9. That goes to 3 and 3, which then gives you 5 times 3, which you told me is 15. Nice job. So what are our factors of 20? 4 and 5. 4 breaks down to? 1 has a buddy. 2 square root of?
5.
Okay. Over here we have 4, or 8. 8 breaks down to? 2 and 4. 4 breaks down to? 2 has a buddy. 2 comes out. 2 stays locked up. I'm sorry. Would you like to give me a second? Our last two here, we see we have 2 square root of 75. What goes in here? 3 and 25. 25 breaks down to? What has a buddy? So our 5 comes out. So hold on, guys. 5 times 2 times the square root of 3. That should not be an equal sign. I apologize. Which then goes to 10 square root of 3. So what came out multiplies with the number in front. And then we have 112. 112 breaks down to? 2 and 56. 56 goes to? 2 and what? 8 and 7. Okay, thank you. 8 and 7. Oh, man. Come on, Jenkins. Okay, let's try it one more time. 8 and 7. 2 and 4. And then? Okay, so partner up what you need. 1 buddy. 2 buddies. So you get 2 times square root of 7, which is 4 square root of 7.
I was way off.